Hello, people. I'm
Hello.
Jaby Koay, joined by Jackie Zender. We're looking at a Vice news video. It's called India is Becoming Its Own Silicon Valley, Vice on HBO. Now, a couple things. This isn't the most popular Indian-related Vice video, but it is the one that interested me. There is another one. If we have time, we'll get to it, but more than likely, this will be the only one we look at today. It's got 19,000 upvotes, 918 downvotes. It's currently sitting at 584,000 views. I know that India's economy is like, there are places where it's accelerating in growth in a positive way and other ways in which it's struggling, but I'm always the optimist looking at the positive stuff, and so this is positive. Jack is like
glass half full.
And then Jack is like doing the shaky leg thing on my leg, and I'm like, what's going on down there? So India is becoming its own Silicon Valley, Vice on HBO. So here we go. Let's check this out.
Good morning, all. So, what is telemarketing? Selling products over telephone. Social graces. What are social graces? Good morning. Thank you. You want to do the inbound call opening? You say?
My name is Dayal. I'm calling behalf of Elik.
I'm calling you on behalf of Elik.
My name is Asha. How can I help you?
How may I help you?
Good morning. Welcome to Dr. Wellness. My name is Krishna. How may I help you?
Perfect.
This is a call center in Bangalore. Call centers were among the first outsourced tech companies to appear in India. And they're still here.
Good morning. This is Krishna. How may I help you? The location of BFW in Bangalore?
Call center work has been outsourced from America to India for decades. But this call center is different.
Hello?
Because many of their clients are actually Indian.
When we actually looked at the growth of India, there were a lot of domestic companies that were actually, growing.
You decided to do just the domestic market, just companies that are in India.
Correct. And that actually did wonders.
The fact that Transact Global has found success by serving largely its own market is an indication of just how far the market has come. India's IT sector has evolved so far out of its call center beginnings that it's now a $150 billion industry.
Wow.
This is the corporate headquarters of Emphasis, one of the biggest IT services firms in all of Bangalore. Why did India emerge, and Bangalore specifically, as sort of the site for this kind of growth?
We've always had in India a fairly large STEM population, right? We've had a history of mathematics and science and engineering and medicine. Back in the 80s, IBM was launching a PC, Microsoft was launching the desktop operating system, and computers were going mainstream. So there was an opportunity for the Indian talent to be taken to where the work was, which is the United States. As telecom infrastructure became more stable, that led to this development of the offshore services. That provided a much faster way to write software, because if you can do it pretty much 24 hours a day. And then came Y2K.
What was the problem with Y2K that India had to face?
The problem was the Western world had written programs that couldn't handle 00 at the end. How do you make sure that the computers don't fail when they come across a 00?
And that's the year 2000.
That's the year 2000.
Some members of Congress are worried that the computer glitch will lead to dangerous problems on the world's infrastructure.
That's when a lot of our Indian companies that were young and nascent showed the world they had the ability to fix problems and do it in a way that you can actually afford. And over the last 25 years, this has kind of become a massive hub for the global companies to build software that essentially runs the world.
Indian tech workers are a worldwide phenomenon, with 850,000 entering the global workforce every year. A primary source for this talent are the country's 23 Indian Institutes of Technology. They're among the most competitive engineering schools in the world.
The IITs were set up in the 50s as institutions for engineering education and research, modeled after MIT and Cambridge and other things.
So this is India's sort of best and brightest engineers.
People get in here, and after they finish their undergraduate, they're sought after by all kinds of companies, Google, Facebook, the banks.
What are the most sort of popular or more competitive programs?
Computer science.
nerds that are smarter than me. These kids all scored the best on the entrance exam. Yes. Right? So even better than everyone at IIT, these are the kids who are the best of the best. Yes. What is it like teaching them?
Very exciting.
Do you think one of these kids is gonna like maybe do something?
Many.
But it seems for some of these kids, their dream is no longer to work in the US. Instead, they'd prefer to innovate right here in India.
There is an inherent sense of wanting to contribute to India's GDP. And there's a lot of emphasis on entrepreneurship and starting on your own.
This push towards entrepreneurship has become the primary focus, as basic software engineering skills are no longer enough. In response to this shifting landscape, a number of startup incubators have sprung up to nurture creative ideas out of mathematically built minds.
Science and technology are the backbone of Indian education. But if you want to go from a back-end coder to a front office visionary, you got to learn how to sell. So I've come to an incubator for startups called Commencement, which coaches would-be disruptors in the art of the pitch. How important is the pitch?
Pitch is the moment of truth. Just having an engineering degree is not enough. If we are going to build the business builders and the job creators of tomorrow, they have to think about the world as a market.
Hi.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon to you both. We're coming from a company called Ocean Water.
Fix my gadgets.
Native bag, change pay.
A lot of gadgets are getting introduced to India.
Okay.
So how we are creating basically a customer convenience through this web portal.
We'll just go through a video walkthrough where you can understand how to pay using ChangePay.
Welcome to Paradise Hotel.
I would like to stay here for 2 days. Sorry, I don't have money. Do you accept change pay?
Yes.
I will have to work on that.
You do this all the time, right? Right. What is sort of common about the sort of shortcomings of how people tend to pitch ideas like this?
Yeah, I think it's the big one is how do you tell a story? This is what you get from people who know too much. They've been an expert in delivering projects, making products in a very corporate environment. But I think we have to also come up with a solid business model which is innovative.
Hello, I'm from Music Money Labs. I'm Gopal. We are a music technology company that teaches, scales music education. It works very simply. I mean, you just put it in front of you and you start singing. And it tells you if your frequency is off or if you're off the beat. We show you detailed breakdown of how can you improve and you can track your progress over time. In India, you have so much diversity in music. And my motivation is to build a digital infrastructure for the Indian heritage.
This is cool because it's sort of like very culturally Indian things becoming potentially like a globally useful product.
But also, it takes a non-music person to figure out a new way
to do music.
Yeah, right. So it didn't take a very social Zuckerberg to figure out the social network.
Right, exactly.
He's got the stars in his eyes, as you can see.
That's cool.
For many of these would-be entrepreneurs, the hope is to one day join the fast-growing list of Silicon Valley-sized success stories, who make up much of India's nascent venture capitalist culture.
I'm at a golf club in Mumbai, and I am playing around with one of the top VCs in the country. He's been named one of the 50 most influential business people in all of India, and he's funded some of the most successful online ventures that this country's ever seen. So what was your big, first success back in India? Nice. Good
I was sitting in my office, met one of these sort of fellows who does the traditional matchmaking. It occurred to me
I'm going to India.
We are, right?
Yeah.
So that
I
idea was
definitely
born,
am.
and we started out with Shaadi.com.
Is it like Tinder?
Yeah.
There you go.
What were the next investments that you made?
About 2011, I met a young guy called Bhavya, and he was looking at raising some capital for an on-demand cab service through your app. And so I wrote him a check in 2011, and today, of course, the company is worth close to $5 billion.
Wow. Would you say that the tech scene in India is at an inflection point in any fashion?
Indians have tasted blood, and given the cultural advantages that India has in many ways, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Indians will drive
the coming tech revolution. You're already seeing it.
I see that,
As
yeah.
India's tech sector grows more sophisticated, its entrepreneurs are becoming more ambitious, driving development aimed at saving our lives and the environment.
Oh wow! I'm in like a operating room.
This is the future right here.
My arm.
This is real.
It's brown because we're in India.
Yeah.
That's great.
You can do the complete advanced cardiac life support protocol, and you really feel that you're doing it.
Oh well, oh my God! That's a thing. That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
Yes, yes.
That's amazing. While many technology companies here are focused on serving the
face
world's
of the
economy,
doctor.
I've come to the garage of Altigreen, a startup that's trying to take a hands-on approach at solving some of India's problems.
In India, there are 1.2 million people dying early every year because of poor air quality.
Wow.
So what do you guys do?
We allow people to take their existing vehicle, bring it into our place, convert it into a hybrid.
Aha.
Oh, wow.
$1,000, saving 25% in fuel and 25% in emissions.
Sure.
Wait, they're
Are you
turning
trying
it
to compete
into a
with like
hybrid?
a Tesla?
I didn't know you could do that.
Tesla is still selling $100,000 cars. That doesn't work for India. What we're doing here is we're democratizing the use of electric technology.
Amazing.
And they're taking cars that you
Entrepreneurship
already
is
have.
exploding here, with over
Wow.
5,000 verified startups
Damn.
currently operating
All
nationwide.
right, India, I see you.
Projections are so good, in fact, that the blue chip prospects who originally left India to succeed in America are beginning to return.
I understand that most of you guys studied in the US or lived in the US at some point. And so like, why did you come back?
Look at populations in India, right? We're building something that could potentially be used by 1 billion people. And it's a lot like the Wild West. The rules are being made.
Bangalore is very, very cosmopolitan now. There are people from not just all over India, people from all over the world, people who've lived abroad and come back.
I had a job offer interest from Google New York, but I met some really nice people in Bangalore that time, and I thought that why not give it a shot.
So you gave up working at Google to come back
I had
to
a
do a
job
startup.
offer.
Given sort of the increasing amount of like anti-immigrant feelings in the United States, did that contribute to your decision to move here?
You know, Trump coming to power has not been good for anybody. And I think that is sort of forcing
Good for Trump.
growth.
Well, guys, to Bangalore, you're coming home.
It's just sitting amongst billionaires,
Making something happen.
chit-chatting.
To many, the future of technology doesn't lie in Silicon Valley, but in places like Bangalore. Recent evidence suggests that this is already happening, as emerging economies like India's make up almost 60% of global GDP, according to the IMF.
Opportunities abound. Software, where all the value addition lies, is now our calling card as a country.
Bangalore is a city primed to emerge as a global leader in tech, with its nation's investment in education and innovation paving the way for a potential overthrow of Silicon Valley as the center of the tech universe.
You think Bangalore would ever overtake Silicon Valley as the center of engineering production?
Could.
Could.
What Bangalore's got going for it is the scale of India. It's like 1 billion people, right?
Yeah.
So even if you got like 1 out of 2,000 being engineers,
right,
you got a large population to pick from.
Yeah.
While the US and Europe continue to be the leading spenders, the center of gravity of the global economy is seen to be moving east.
How did you guys like found companies?
When I was 10 years old, I was very curious in electronics and technology, so I developed a drone.
What am I doing with my life? Oh my God.
Don't ask that question. Laying down a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah. 14 years old.
Consequently, Asia will account for at least 25% of global ER&D spend before the turn of this decade. And that defines the age that we live in. And I want to congratulate all of you who have made this possible. The fastest growing segment in the entire IT BPM industry.
It's a trip, man.
Wow.
Oh, I feel so ashamed of myself. Oh, Lord.
Why?
14 years old.
What do you
14
do?
years old.
My youngest brother, like, he knew what he wanted to do at an early age. Like, he ended up studying engineering and robotics. He does 3D printing and all that.
I mean, we all got our own path to walk.
Right.
I
If
get
you're
it.
gonna compare yourself to everyone else, you're gonna drive yourself crazy.
Still, goddamn. Goddamn, 14 years old. I knew what I wanted to do since I was like 3, but it takes like, you know, everyone's got their own way of walking that path.
Yeah.
And it's hard not to compare. But I mean, the whole, I mean, that's what competition's born out of, is comparison, right? And so it's natural. I think
It's healthy
it's
as long as it's, you know, in moderation.
Yeah.
That was really interesting though, and what I do like too is like they said they're also trying to figure out ways to help the environment. I think that's extremely important. And like India is also a culture that really respects their environment, the creatures that they share with and everything. Like I think it's great. I think it's great that there's a huge boom in India, and hopefully it'll help push other cultures to start stepping their game up as well.
Oh my God, okay, hold up.
What?
This comment, okay, so I was wondering the same thing. This guy goes, Ayakshman Prasad goes, I don't understand the West obsession with that music. And then right beneath him he goes, Burhan goes, even Indians don't know where this music came. Doesn't matter, man. Like, stereotypical indie music or not, this is stuff like it's forcing you to recognize. Like you said earlier, India, I see you. Like, you better recognize.
Yeah.
And that's why I was so curious about this video, because I knew what kind of information it was gonna share. Like, I had a sense that it was gonna illustrate to you this booming economy that's happening there, because like, you watch CNBC, they're like, why is India's economy not doing so great? I'm like, I guarantee you that's just one side of the coin, because on the other side, India is exploding with some like innovations and whatnot, you know? That's why I was so curious about it, because like, this is insane.
I think it's amazing. I hope they push the technology a little further.
Well, here's the thing. There's something called the Genius Visa or something. I mentioned it a couple days ago. Michio Kaku is a Japanese-American scientist who talked about why America's technology keeps advancing, why we continue to have smart people despite the fact that we don't have smart students, despite the fact that the education system is wrought with problems, right?
Right.
And the reason why is because of that B1 or H1 visa, whatever it's called.
America has a secret weapon. That secret weapon is the H1B. It's the Genius Visa.
The Genius Visa, the Genius Grant, where we bring people over and we go, okay, we're taking your best and brightest, putting them in our American companies, making those American companies grow.
Without the H1B, the scientific establishment of this country would collapse. Forget about Google. Forget about Silicon Valley. There would be no Silicon Valley without the H1B.
But then people like that one guy who worked at Google was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to India and I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna inject that into my own economy back home.
The United States is a magnet sucking up all the brains of the world, but now the brains are going back.
I think it's good though, like we talked about healthy competition. If the smartest and the brightest from different countries are deciding to stay where they are and helping influence their culture further and bring them money to their culture, don't you think it's going to make those other countries that rely on pulling people from these different places do have to step their game up?
Yeah.
Because in the reason too is like in India they understand like this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them are killing it with math and science and all this stuff. It's a great opportunity, and let's be real, there's a lot of Americans who are just like okay with being mediocre.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's creating healthy competition. I think it's great. Like I said, like if another area, like if they start taking over and becoming like the new Silicon Valley, you don't think that's not going to make the nerds push a little harder here?
I hope it does. I mean, healthy competition is great.
Healthy competition is always good. I think it's exciting.
That's crazy. And so you better recognize, bitches. Yeah, 14 years old. God damn, that's crazy.
Not gonna get over that.
That's just crazy. One of the things that stood out to me that made me kind of reflect is the pitch. The pitch is so important, and you see how nervous these guys get when they're pitching their ideas because everything has writing on this.
I was gonna say, I think it's great that they have like, you know, like these, in a sense, like think tanks for people to come in and show what they think their presentation should be like, and then they have someone educate them like, okay, if you actually want to put together a good pitch, we're here to help you with that. And I think that's great because your pitch and your how you do your presentation, that's largely how you're going to get picked up or not. You might have the best product out there, but if you don't know how to market it, how to advertise it, how to pitch it, it's not going to go anywhere because you have to be able to convince people that this is the thing.
The VR thing with the doctor, that's real. It also scares me because basically what you're gonna have is a bunch of Dr. Stranges around the country who are controlling 99% of the surgeries because they can do it remotely. So there's less competition in your local communities because they can just hire that doctor from across the country to do it virtually.
Yeah.
That scares me. Anyway, that's real, that's coming. But in a way, it's also great because when you have the best doctor who can do heart surgery or something, he can do it from across the world.
But what if there's like a malfunction or like the machine, you know, like there's a glitch?
5G's coming, baby.
Right, true. Isn't it funny that all the doctors are Indian, but then the person on the table looks like it's just a white person?
Because the Indians have to save the white people. Hey, you don't know, he could be from North India. He could be light skinned.
Message.
But my favorite part was that he's like touching the doctor's face.
I know, he's like, you can get really inappropriate.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a fascinating video. I really appreciate it. It was very informative. And Jackie Zender has her eyes set for this Indian fella. He's so cute.
He is kind of cute. Look at him.
God, like $20 billion really makes you cute for some
Oh,
reason. I don't know what it
swear
is.
to God, I'm gonna beat you up on camera.
I don't know, he's just so handsome. It's just like, I don't know, that billionaire vibe, I don't know. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Check out Jackie Zender, future billionaire wife. And
You're gonna get tackled. He's purposely
Is your dress gonna be like made
I
of...
swear to get out.